Nintendo has released a lot of games over the past couple decades, but there's always a few that stand out from the rest. Pretty much every year has at least one Nintendo game that is absolutely incredible and eventually becomes an important part of this company's legacy. But what is the best Nintendo game of every year? Well, that's exactly what I'll be attempting to answer. Today, I'll be going over the past 35 years of Nintendo game releases and choosing the games that I think are the very best of their respective years. Obviously, this topic is very subjective and will change depending on your own personal opinions. So remember that I'm not pretending to look at this from a totally objective perspective. This video is very much opinion-based and you'll probably disagree with me at some point. But I'll be putting up a list of Nintendo games from each year as I go, so feel free to decide what game you think is best alongside me. I'll be covering the games that Nintendo either developed directly or published, but the list for each year won't include every single game that fits those requirements, it'll just be the main highlights. I'll try not to forget anything major and include a pretty big list of games for each year. If you can't already tell, this video is going to be pretty long and crammed full of information, so strap in, get comfortable, and maybe grab a snack or something. But before we get there, I have a few more things I have to go over before we can jump into the list. I'll be choosing the best game of each year based mostly on my own opinions, but my decisions won't be based only on that. I'll also be considering the general consensus and reception to each game, it just won't be the deciding factor. And my opinions are pretty limited compared to the massive amount of games I'll be covering. I haven't played every single Nintendo game, so forgive me if I have limited knowledge on a lot of the games here, especially the older titles. It's entirely possible that I would make different choices if I could play every Nintendo game, but for now I'll just work with what I've got. Release dates and regions can get pretty confusing, so I'll try my best to get all the numbers right, but I apologize in advance for any mistakes. To make things a lot easier, I'll be sticking with the North American release dates of all of these games, which can get weird since certain games were brought over to America years after they were already released in Japan. But sticking with the North American dates makes things a lot simpler. And one last rule, I won't be including any ports or remasters to keep things more concise and less confusing. And remember that this video is just supposed to be for fun, so try not to get too caught up in it. And with all of that out of the way, let's get started by going all the way back to when the original NES was first released in North America, 1985. "1985 saw the launch of the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES for short, in North America. It launched with a variety of different games available, mostly simple games like golf and tennis. I think the major big releases of this year include Duck Hunt, Excitebike, Ice Climber, and Super Mario Bros. I really do like Excitebike, but it probably won't be a surprise what my pick for this year is. Of course, it's the original Super Mario Bros. This game was revolutionary and alongside the NES basically saved the entire gaming industry. This is really the game that started it all and led to the Nintendo we know today. Not very many Nintendo games were released in North America in 1986. While Japan was getting games like The Legend of Zelda and Metroid, we were getting mostly ports of old arcade games like Donkey Kong. But there were a few good releases, like Mach Rider, a futuristic racing game, Urban Champion, an old-school fighting game, and Balloon Fight, which has you flying around the screen defeating enemies and dodging obstacles. Out of these limited options, I'll have to go with Balloon Fight as the best one, mostly because of its legacy and how iconic it is today. It also has surprisingly fun movement for such an old game. "1987 is where things really started heating up for the NES, with huge games like The Legend of Zelda and Metroid. The original Kid Icarus was also released this year, as well as Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!, which was later rebranded to just Punch-Out!. Kid Icarus hasn't aged super well, and neither has Metroid since it had no map screen and could really get confusing. But Punch-Out! And The Legend of Zelda still hold up to this day, but I think The Legend of Zelda just barely wins. Punch-Out! Is tons of fun, but Zelda created an amazing adventure game unlike anything else and started one of Nintendo's best franchises. "1988 was another pretty slow year for the NES, with just a few big games. The main ones are Super Mario Bros. 2 and Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. Zelda 2 brought a complex combat system and side-scrolling action to the Zelda series, but it was super difficult and honestly not that fun to play through in my opinion. Super Mario Bros. 2 holds up a lot better, and it even lets you play as 4 different Mario characters who all control differently. It may not play like a typical 2D Mario game, but it's still a lot of fun. (1989) is when the Game Boy first launched, so most of the focus shifted to the new handheld and not as many NES games were released. The 2 biggest Game Boy games this year were Super Mario Land and Tetris. Super Mario Land is like a mini portable version of 2D Mario, and it was pretty cool to play a game like that on the go. But Tetris was the game that defined the Game Boy and would eventually go on to become one of the highest selling video games of all time. Everyone knows what Tetris is. It's an amazing puzzle game that's simple and addicting, and it's my pick for the best game of 1989. Another pretty light year for Nintendo, 1990 just had a couple big games. Dr. Mario, Nintendo's Mario-themed puzzle game released on both the Game Boy and the NES. There's Star Tropics, a tropical-themed adventure game that is one of the few Nintendo games that didn't release in Japan, and Super Mario Bros. 3, the highly anticipated new 2D Mario platformer. Once again, I'm gonna have to go with Mario on this one, as Super Mario Bros. 3 is an incredible game. It's a big improvement on the original Super Mario Bros., and it's still on the same hardware, which is really impressive. The Super Nintendo Entertainment System was released in 1991, bringing Nintendo games into a whole new console generation. The SNES launched with fantastic games like F-Zero, Pilot Wings, and Super Mario World. The Game Boy also got a couple new releases, like the second Kid Icarus game and Metroid 2: Return of Samus. F-Zero's high-octane racing and Pilot Wings flight simulation gameplay were great, and I love those games, but Super Mario World is such an iconic and enjoyable experience that I have to choose it as the best of 1991. I know it's kind of boring that I keep choosing Mario games, but don't blame me, blame Mario for consistently having such amazing games. (1992) continued the flow of SNES games with Super Mario Kart and The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. The Game Boy got titles like Kirby's Dream Land, Super Mario Land 2, Wave Race, and Yoshi. Super Mario Kart started the Mario Kart series, which is one of my favorites, but it definitely doesn't hold up as well as The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past does. A Link to the Past created a lot of the classic Zelda formula that would be used for years, and it's still one of Link's best adventures to this day. I love Super Mario Kart, but Zelda wins this one. There weren't too many Nintendo games released in 1993, with the only major SNES game being Star Fox. The other biggest SNES release was Super Mario All-Stars, but since that's a remastered collection of past Mario games, it doesn't count. Kirby got his first console game, Kirby's Adventure, but it was actually on the NES and not the SNES. And the Game Boy got The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Star Fox's 3D graphics were really impressive, and Link's Awakening had a really unique and creative story, but Kirby's Adventure is my choice because it's a fantastic 2D platformer that really pushed the NES to its graphical limits. I mean, how can you not love this little pink puffball? (1994) brought more solid games to the SNES, like Donkey Kong Country, Stunt Race FX, Super Metroid, and Super Punch-Out! The Game Boy also got Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3, and it was so awesome seeing Wario get his very own game. Stunt Race FX and Super Punch-Out! Were also great, but the two big games battling here are Donkey Kong Country and Super Metroid. Donkey Kong Country has insanely good graphics for its time and an incredible soundtrack, but Super Metroid refined the Metroid formula to near perfection with its exploration, atmosphere, and upgrade system, which is why it barely beats Donkey Kong Country and is my choice for the best game of 1994. The Super Nintendo continued going strong in 1995, with great games like Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong's Quest, Earthbound, and Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. And the Game Boy got Kirby's Dream Land 2. The Virtual Boy also launched this year, but that didn't turn out so well for Nintendo. I know Earthbound is loved by a ton of people. I haven't played it before, but I definitely still considered it. But for me, it's between Diddy Kong's Quest and Yoshi's Island. Diddy Kong's Quest is just as strong as the first Donkey Kong Country, but as much as it pains me to say, it barely misses out again because of Yoshi's Island. Yoshi's Island just has such beautiful visuals, simple gameplay, and it's full of personality. 1996 is the year of the Nintendo 64's launch, and releasing alongside the system was Super Mario 64 and Pilotwings 64. Then Wave Race 64 followed soon after. The Super Nintendo also got some games this year like Donkey Kong Country 3 and Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. DKC 3 and Super Mario RPG were great, but most of the focus was on the brand new 3D games. Pilotwings 64 and Wave Race 64 were awesome games that showed what the N64 could do, but it was Super Mario 64 that really knocked it out of the park. This was the first really good 3D platformer, and its movement and exploration were groundbreaking. '97 was full of great N64 games like GoldenEye 007, Mario Kart 64, Star Fox 64, and Diddy Kong Racing, which technically isn't developed or published by Nintendo, but it has Diddy Kong in the title, so I'm including it anyway. The SNES also got a new game, Kirby's Dream Land 3. GoldenEye 007 was a revolutionary first-person shooter, and Diddy Kong Racing was a super fun kart racing game full of wacky characters. But for me personally, it comes down to Mario Kart 64 and Star Fox 64. Mario Kart 64 was really good for the time, but it doesn't hold up as well as Star Fox 64 does. Star Fox 64 is the pinnacle of the series, and the franchise was never able to top its amazing gameplay. The games just kept on rolling in for the N64 in 1998, with titles like 1080 Snowboarding, Banjo-Kazooie, F-Zero X, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and Yoshi's Story. Meanwhile, the Game Boy got the second Wario Land game and Pokémon Red and Blue, which started the biggest media franchise in the world. But as important as that game was, my top two picks are Banjo-Kazooie and Ocarina of Time. Banjo-Kazooie proved that Mario wasn't the only one who could make a fantastic 3D platformer, but Ocarina of Time beats it because of its incredible sense of adventure, impressive new combat system, and cinematic storytelling. The Legend of Zelda series finally expanded beyond the 2D games, and Nintendo was able to show what's possible with 3D graphics. '99 brought more N64 games with Donkey Kong 64, Pokémon Snap, Mario Golf, Mario Party, and Super Smash Bros. Donkey Kong 64 wasn't as impressive as the other 3D platformers on the system, but it was still a decent game. Mario Golf and Mario Party were both successful spin-offs that started their own series, and Pokémon Snap was a really fun Pokémon-themed game where taking pictures was the main objective. But it's Super Smash Bros. That wins this year for me, combining some of Nintendo's most iconic characters together and throwing them onto a stage to fight. This sort of crossover was really unique and exciting for the time. The turn of the century continued to bring new N64 games like Banjo-Tooie, Hey You Pikachu, Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards, Mario Party 2, Pokémon Stadium, Mario Tennis, and The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. The Game Boy Color also got Pokémon Gold and Silver and Wario Land 3. This year had a lot of sequels and smaller games, but there's one that stands out from the rest. The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask took the base gameplay of Ocarina of Time and created a wildly creative new story involving a 3-day time loop and the end of the world. The dark tone of the story is really what makes this game so great. 2001 is the year the GameCube was first released, and it got games like Luigi's Mansion, Pikmin, Super Smash Bros. Melee, and Wave Race Blue Storm. The Game Boy Advance also launched this year, and it had some awesome games like Advance Wars, F-Zero Maximum Velocity, Golden Sun, and Mario Kart Super Circuit. The Game Boy Color got The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages and Seasons, and the N64 got Paper Mario and a new Mario Party. That's a lot of games in one year. As amazing as Pikmin and Super Smash Bros. Melee are, I think I'll have to go with Luigi's Mansion for my pick this year since it's such a creative game that finally gives the spotlight to Luigi and showcases what the GameCube is capable of. Things didn't really slow down for the GameCube in 2002, with games including Animal Crossing, Mario Party 4, Metroid Prime, Star Fox Adventures, and Super Mario Sunshine. And the Game Boy Advance got Metroid Fusion. The original Animal Crossing had super chill and laid-back gameplay, and Super Mario Sunshine was a brand new tropical 3D Mario platformer that was pretty well received. But as much as I love those two games, Metroid is the series that dominated this year. Both Metroid Prime and Metroid Fusion were fantastic, but it's Metroid Prime that made the bigger impact. Metroid made the transition to 3D and everyone absolutely loved it, and even though I haven't played it yet, it's still my pick for the best game of this year because of how universally acclaimed this game is. Two 2003 had lots of new GameCube games, with the main ones being 1080 Avalanche, Kirby Air Ride, Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, Mario Kart Double Dash, Mario Party 5, The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, and Wario World. The Game Boy Advance also got new releases including Fire Emblem, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, and the first WarioWare game. I really love Mario Kart Double Dash. It's an amazing kart racing game with an awesome central theme around dual drivers. But I have to give it to The Wind Waker because it's such a great seafaring adventure with strong art direction and expressive characters. The Wind Waker proved that the Zelda series still had plenty of creative new ideas. The Nintendo DS launched in 2004, but barely had any games, with the main focus being on Super Mario 64 DS. The GameCube continued to get titles like Mario Party 6, Mario Power Tennis, Metroid Prime 2, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, Pikmin 2, and The Legend of Zelda Four Swords Adventures. The Game Boy Advance got games like Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, and Mario Golf Advance Tour. Metroid Prime 2 seems to be pretty well liked, and so does Pikmin 2, but Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door is the biggest highlight for me. Most people agree this is one of the best entries in the series, and it's definitely one of Mario's best RPG games. The DS finally started getting some solid games in 2005, like Animal Crossing Wild World, Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, Mario Kart DS, and Nintendogs. The GameCube kept going strong with Battalion Wars, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, Mario Party 7, Star Fox Assault, and Super Mario Strikers. The Game Boy Advance still got some games like Mario Party Advance and The Legend of Zelda The Minish Cap. This year was packed. My personal highlights include Nintendogs, Super Mario Strikers, and the Minish Cap. All of those games are really good, but Mario Kart DS comes out on top because of its great track lineup and impressive visuals for a handheld device. " 2006 was the final year of the GameCube and the first year of the Wii, which launched with The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess and Wii Sports. The GameCube still got a few more releases with Chibi Robo as well as Twilight Princess. The DS got new games like Big Brain Academy, Brain Age, Star Fox Command, New Super Mario Bros., and Yoshi's Island DS. New Super Mario Bros. Was a fresh take on classic 2D Mario, and Twilight Princess was an incredible 3D Zelda game, but my pick for this year is Wii Sports. This game made perfect use of the brand new motion controls of the Wii, and its simple gameplay and use of Mii's made it insanely replayable. Plus it has a terrific theme song. The Wii was really on fire by 2007, with tons of game releases including Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, Mario Party 8, Mario Strikers Charged, Metroid Prime 3, Super Mario Galaxy, Super Paper Mario, WarioWare Smooth Moves, and Wii Play. And that's not all. The DS also got Mario Party DS, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, and The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. Now that's a lot of games. There are just too many great games this year, like Mario Strikers Charged, Metroid Prime 3, Super Paper Mario, and Wii Play. I love all of those games, but Super Mario Galaxy easily wins this year for me. This is probably my favorite 3D Mario game because of its amazing level design and incredibly beautiful and epic soundtrack. Things slowed down a little bit for the Wii in 2008, but there were still plenty of new games like Animal Crossing City Folk, Endless Ocean, Mario Kart Wii, Mario Super Sluggers, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Wario Land Shake It, and Wii Fit. There were a lot of heavy hitters this year. I mean, Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, and Smash Bros. All in one year is pretty crazy. City Folk and Smash Brawl are really good games, but they sadly come in behind Mario Kart Wii. It's possible this is just my nostalgia taking over, but I absolutely love this game. All the tracks are great, the character roster is huge, and the music is amazing. " 2009 kept the Wii's momentum going with games including Excitebots Trick Racing, Punch-Out!, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and Wii Sports Resort. The DS continued to get games too, like Rhythm Heaven and The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. Although I really enjoy Punch-Out! And Super Mario Bros. Wii, my favorite game of this year is by far Wii Sports Resort. This game took everything that made the original Wii Sports great and expanded and improved upon it. The motion controls also worked even better thanks to the Wii Motion Plus accessory. The new sports are fantastic, and the location of Woohoo Island is legendary. " 2010 brought more brand new Wii games like Donkey Kong Country Returns, Kirby's Epic Yarn, Metroid Other M, Super Mario Galaxy 2, and Wii Party. The DS didn't get much, mainly just WarioWare DIY. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is a great sequel, but I've always preferred the original personally. This was a big year for 2D platformers, with both Donkey Kong Country Returns and Kirby's Epic Yarn. Both these games are really good, and I wish I didn't have to pick just one of them. But I have to go with DKC Returns over Kirby's Epic Yarn, mainly because of the difficulty level. As much as I love the art style and gameplay of Kirby, Donkey Kong Country Returns presents an expertly designed and challenging platformer that brought back one of Nintendo's best franchises. 2011 was the launch year for the Nintendo 3DS, which was released alongside Nintendogs Plus Cats and Pilot Wings Resort, with Super Mario 3D Land and Mario Kart 7 coming later in the year. The Wii also got games including Kirby's Return to Dreamland, Mario Sports Mix, and The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. And the DS got Pokémon Black and White. There are so many amazing games from this year, but for me I have to choose Skyward Sword. I know this will probably be a tad bit controversial, but I've always loved this game so much. The dungeon design, visuals, story, and music are what make this game so great, and I really didn't mind the motion controls either. The Wii U was first released in 2012, with launch titles including New Super Mario Bros. U and Nintendo Land. The 3DS got games like Kid Icarus Uprising, Mario Tennis Open, New Super Mario Bros. 2, and Paper Mario Sticker Star. The Wii also got some games like Mario Party 9, Rhythm Heaven Fever, and Xenoblade Chronicles. Although Kid Icarus Uprising is a really incredible 3DS game, for me it's between Nintendo Land and Xenoblade Chronicles. This is probably the hardest choice I've had to make this whole video, since I love both these games so much and they're so different from each other. But in the end, Nintendo Land wins out over Xenoblade, simply because I have more fond memories playing it with my friends and family. 2013 brought lots of new Wii U games like LEGO City Undercover, Pikmin 3, Super Mario 3D World, Wii Party U, and Wii Fit U. The 3DS continued to build its library, adding Animal Crossing New Leaf, Fire Emblem Awakening, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, Mario & Luigi Dream Team, Mario Party Island Tour, Pokemon X and Y, and The Legend of Zelda A Link Between Worlds. There is an insane amount of quality games this year, especially Super Mario 3D World and A Link Between Worlds, but my choice has got to be Animal Crossing New Leaf. This is probably still the best entry in the series, with so much to do and accomplish and tons of fun characters to interact with. 2014 was full of terrific Wii U games like Bayonetta 2, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Hyrule Warriors, Mario Kart 8, Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, and Wii Sports Club. The 3DS got new games like Kirby Triple Deluxe, Mario Golf World Tour, Super Smash Bros. For 3DS, and Tomodachi Life. Again, this is another great year full of fantastic games, but as much as I want to pick something like Tropical Freeze or Super Smash Bros., Mario Kart 8 is the winner for me. This game has gorgeous visuals and amazing tracks, with a jazzy soundtrack too. – 2015 was actually pretty rough for Nintendo. There were some pretty bad games like Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, Chibi Robo Ziplash, Mario Party 10, and Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. There were also lots of just okay games like Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, and The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes. But there were also some really great games including Splatoon, Super Mario Maker, Xenoblade Chronicles X, and Yoshi's Woolly World. So yeah, this year was a pretty mixed bag. Splatoon easily wins this year for me because it's a brand new, fresh, and creative IP that changed up the multiplayer shooter genre by filling the game with colorful ink and lots of style. As bad as 2015 got, 2016 got even worse. The Wii U was really tanking at this point, with less and less new quality games coming to the system. Paper Mario Color Splash and Star Fox Zero were pretty disappointing, but Pokken Tournament seemed to be decent, but that's all the Wii U got. The 3DS luckily still had a pretty solid year with games like Kirby Planet Robobot, Fire Emblem Fates, and Pokemon Sun and Moon. But there were also some less successful titles like Mario Party Star Rush and Metroid Prime Federation Force. For me, my pick was either going to be Kirby Planet Robobot or Pokemon Sun and Moon. Kirby wins this one because of its super fun platforming gameplay and awesome robotic theme. – 2017 was like a revival year for Nintendo, with the launch of their brand new system, the Nintendo Switch, and an amazing lineup of first-party games. There's ARMS, Mario + Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Splatoon 2, Super Mario Odyssey, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The 3DS also had a pretty good year with Ever Oasis, Miitopia, and Mario Sports Superstars. The three big heavy hitters for me are Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 2, and Super Mario Odyssey. Splatoon 2 and Mario Odyssey are both absolutely incredible, but Breath of the Wild is my choice for the best game of this year. Its open-air exploration and sense of adventure is unlike anything I've ever played, and it's still one of my favorite gaming experiences of all time. The second year of the Switch brought a couple brand new games, but was mostly full of Wii U ports. But the new games we did get were awesome. Kirby Star Allies, Mario Tennis Aces, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate are the main highlights. There was also the slightly disappointing releases of Nintendo Labo and Super Mario Party. Meanwhile, the 3DS got Detective Pikachu. It shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone that I'm choosing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, since that's easily the best game of this year. Smash Ultimate brought back all the previous fighters from past games, and continued to add new fighters long after release. It really is the greatest gaming crossover of all time. There were tons of great Switch games in 2019, with releases like Astral Chain, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Luigi's Mansion 3, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Ring Fit Adventure, Super Mario Maker 2, and Yoshi's Crafted World. The Nintendo Switch was proving that it could produce some really high-quality original games. I really enjoyed Ring Fit Adventure and Super Mario Maker 2, but Luigi's Mansion is the highlight of the year for me. This game has really impressive graphics for the Switch, and it has so much personality and charm. Making your way through the many different levels of this haunted hotel is so much fun, and it's a really well-crafted experience. – 2020 was a very strange year due to the state of the world, but that doesn't mean there weren't any good Nintendo games. Animal Crossing New Horizons, Clubhouse Games, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and Paper Mario the Origami King all came out this year. Age of Calamity was full of action-packed fun, and the Origami King had a terrific soundtrack, but the game that defined this year for me was Animal Crossing New Horizons. New Horizons gives you a customizable tropical vacation with gorgeous graphics and a chill atmosphere that made getting through 2020 a little bit easier. It still isn't perfect, but I've sunk so much time into this game and I don't regret any of it. And now we've finally caught up to the present. 2021 is still ongoing, with big game releases like Metroid Dread on the horizon, so I can't pick a game for this year just yet. And that means this video can come to a close. I just covered the past 35 years of Nintendo game releases and picked out my favorites from each individual year. Hopefully I didn't upset too many of you. Remember that this isn't my list of the top 35 Nintendo games of all time, since there were a couple years that had multiple masterpieces that couldn't make the list that would have normally. It was tons of fun and a lot of work to put all this together, so hopefully you enjoyed this look back at the history of Nintendo game releases. Did I miss any big Nintendo games? I probably forgot to include at least one or two since I tried to cover like a million games in this video. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. You don't have to fill out the full list of games for each year, just let me know what you'd pick differently and what games mean the most to you. And if you liked the video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I make lots of content on the past, present, and future of Nintendo. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see ya in the next one.